In this episode, older model executive sedans from BMW and Mercedes-Benz go head to head.
We help a first-time buyer choose a fun and affordable Super Mini.
And we consider whether you should fix or flog an accident-damaged Honda Civic.
Hello and welcome to Buyer's Guide. Every week we do our best to provide you with useful advice, whether it relates to buying, selling or maintaining a vehicle. If you have a question for the team, you can send it to buyersguide@ignitiontv.co.za, and please include as much information as possible, including a pretty picture of yourself.
And joining us in studio to help us answer some of those burning automotive questions are two familiar faces, Fazana Shamu from Redline Motoring and Michael Pashut from Change Cars. Welcome guys, nice to have you back.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you again. Good.
All right, let's just get into our first question. It comes from Samuel, who lives in Rustenburg, and he's 52 years old. He's been driving Toyotas for the better part of his life, and now he's keen to taste a German brand. He has a 200,000 Rand budget, and he can't decide between a 2013 BMW 320i and a 2014 Mercedes-Benz C180. Fuel economy is one of his main considerations, and he adds that he usually does not do more than 15,000 kilometers annually. He can spend 5,000 Rand a year on maintenance, and he'd like to know if he can get a decent example of either of these cars in his budget. One thing I can tell Samuel off the bat, he's going to have a very bitter taste in his mouth. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Ladies first, Fazana.
Yeah,
let
I
us
found
have
it
your
also a very tricky selection. He didn't leave much space open for suggestion. He set on BMW and Merc, and with his budget as well of 200,000. So considering his two options, I mean, I don't know. I can't pick out one because the BMW is known for their problems, timing chains, injectors, turbos, fuel pumps, and sludge. Merc as well also have their timing chains and cooling system issues. I mean, at that age, I don't know, Mike, what was your thoughts on?
I said Samuel's 52 years young. If he wants to get old, buy one of those two cars. The simple challenge he's got is what you've just highlighted. He's going to be buying a car in excess of 200,000 kilos, exactly where you should be looking to sell one of them, not buying them. Driving a Toyota, stick with a Toyota. I would not look at that car unless, and I use unless, you come across that very rare example, 60, 70,000 kilos, old person's driven it and they're looking to get rid of it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I don't think it's a great option because if you had a 600,000-700,000 Rand budget, I'd say a different story. But a 200,000 Rand budget means you're buying a German vehicle near the end of its life cycle, and it's not worth it. Like Fazana mentioned, there's a lot of problems with him. Timing chains that you mentioned is a very common problem, and as I've said on the show, I believe the problem is from the stop-start technology on cars. So if you've got one of those cars, switch off that stop-start technology because that's what kills the timing chains. But stick with a Toyota. I mean, you've got good, reliable Toyotas. I know you must probably want something a bit more premium than, you're used to Japanese reliability.
You should buy a new Toyota.
Well,
want something premium, you should go buy himself a new Toyota.
You can't
not
buy
an old
200,000 Rand budget.
But Samuel mentioned he's got a maintenance budget of roughly 5,000 Rand a year. Again, he's going to spend 5,000 Rand a month, as in dead serious, close on 60,000 Rand a year on that. Stick with the Toyota. Possibly look at an old Lexus. Your feeling on an old Lexus?
You're just going to say that as well. Something in that range of a Lexus. At least you're buying something that is inherently reliable.
Of course.
As opposed to something that's inherently, not say unreliable, but when they get older, you're talking a 2013. Now we're talking literally a 10-year-old German car that are known to have problems, so stay away from them. Rather just keep with the Toyotas. Go on a nice holiday.
If he could get a 320D in this budget, it's going to have high mileage, but it'll still be better than 320i.
Than the petrol one, definitely.
For sure.
Most definitely better than 320i. But the unicorns you were talking about, he's never going to find.
If you want a Merc or a BM, go for the diesel versions. They're a much better option. Okay, we turn our attention now from executive sedans to SUVs. Jerome lives in Rudaport and he's looking at buying an SUV around the 740,000 Rand mark. He's considering the new Kia Sportage 1.6 turbocharged GDI Line S and the new Nissan Qashqai Ascenta Plus Xtronic 1.3 CVT. One of those, got all those features in it. He finds these two cars to be beautiful and stacked with features, but he says he might be open to other options as well, but no Chinese vehicles. He also mentions that he plans to keep the car for at least 10 years. Mike, what would you buy if you wanted to keep it for 10 years.
So I mentioned a lovely budget, 740, clearly going beyond the very good value for money Haval and Cherry products.
Yeah.
At what he's just looking at there, personally, the Kia, without a doubt. I think the Nissan is very good. Obviously, it's a very new to the market vehicle, but I'm just a little bit concerned about the performance.
Yeah.
A 1.3 in that big body.
With the CVT.
I think
He's going to have that gearbox running up and down the whole way through.
For sure. I think that Kia, my personal opinion, without a doubt, immeasurably nicer in that price range.
Fazana, what do you think?
So between the two, I also picked the Kia, but I threw a third car into the mix. I don't know if he would consider it. Is the Hyundai Tucson.
Very
Yes.
nice.
Yes.
So in terms of price and power and boot space and everything, then between the Sportage and the Tucson, I think my pick would be the Tucson maybe. But also I looked at service warranties and roadside assistance. They're very closely matched.
The
Yeah.
Kia's got that 7-year unlimited mileage. So that is a great thing as well, because if you look at, like you said, he's going to keep the car for at least 10 years.
Yeah.
So for 7 years, literally he knows the car's under warranty.
Of course.
So anything that goes wrong within that period of time, it'll be covered by the warranty, as long as you're maintaining it correctly, following the processes involved. But that is a great
That is a
suggestion
lovely
as well.
choice.
Because basically the Kia Sportage and the Tucson, same sort of car.
Sisters cars, yeah.
You know, it just depends on. I must say, I love the Kia styling. The new Kia
The new one.
really
That's
looks.
exactly what it is for
stunning,
me.
yeah.
It's always a personal preference, and I'm sure there are other people who say I prefer the Hyundai side, but the Kia shades it for me because of the styling.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's a Kia for me all day long because
Yeah.
I own one and it's not given me a day's trouble. If anything, just for that.
Yeah.
And yet the new ones are awesome.
Yeah.
They look fantastic.
I think it's well known that I'm a huge Audi fan. Is the Audi designer still at Kia? I know that he
Good
left.
question. I'm not too sure. I know he was.
It was the
I'm sure
But he had
still
an
is there, yeah.
incredible influence on the styling of those cars. They look premium.
Yeah. I must say that out of the two that he's given us, and even
Congratulations on your Kia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would just go out and buy the Kia. First of all, it's I think a better looking car. Second of all, you're getting the best warranty out of all the manufacturers in that segment.
But if
the
you
Kia.
want some good advice, you should listen to me and go drive both of them,
Yeah.
the Tucson and the Kia.
And then
Yeah.
He may just find something, he might like the Kia now, but after having driven the Tucson, he may just find something that's
Yeah.
more attractive
Both
than the
excellent.
Tucson.
Both excellent.
Both excellent
Yeah.
choices.
Yeah. Good.
Good one there, Fazana. Stay tuned because after the break, we put the Kia Picanto against the Suzuki Swift.
And we compare affordable yet spacious sedans from Toyota and Honda. You're watching Buyer's Guide, and if you've just joined us, welcome to this week's show. Marissa is a first-time car buyer, and she's looking for a small hatchback in the 150 to 200,000 rand bracket. She will be using the car mostly for city driving, and she doesn't expect to do more than about 10,000 kilometers a year. Whichever one she goes for, it needs to be an automatic, but equipped with Apple CarPlay. Have a balance of service or maintenance plan, and be enjoyable to drive. I suppose that's what we all want in a car, enjoyable to drive. Fazana, Suzuki Swift or Kia Picanto, automatic and must have Apple CarPlay.
They're both nice options, but in terms of fuel consumption, I would go with the Suzuki Swift. She said city driving, and they're very, very fuel efficient. So yeah, I think Swift for me.
And does it have all the other gizmos she's looking for in the car? Because it seems like these days, nobody's interested really in the car itself.
Right.
Does
Once
the
it
car
comes
go? Is it mechanically sound? No, nobody's interested in that. Does it have a USB port? Does it have an auxiliary port?
Does it have connectivity?
Yes, does it have blue teeth?
Yeah.
I don't care about blue teeth. I want the damn thing to run.
Yeah.
She's chosen two lovely cars, very often recommended by us on the show, both safe options, but I'm going to give her a third option, the Toyota Agya. Brand new, just on 200,000 Rand. I think it looks absolutely superb, and she's going to keep it for 10 years.
Yeah. So, I mean, in this case, for me, the Kia Picanto, the only thing I don't like about the Swift is in the automatic version is actually it's a manual gearbox that gets changed electronically. And they tend to be a bit heavy on clutches, because obviously if you're driving a lot of city driving, that automatic control that works the clutch is always slipping the clutch, and I found them to wear out prematurely, where the Kia Picanto's got a normal auto gearbox. I quite like the Kia Picanto, I must say. In this sort of segment, I'm not too sure if she's going to get the Apple CarPlay. You're going to be looking for something newer. Maybe I'm wrong there, you may find it, but in saying that, there are so many aftermarket systems that you can buy nowadays that retrofit to the car, maybe a Suzuki Swift or Kia Picanto, and then you're going to get your Apple CarPlay, your Android Auto, your mapping, everything that you want in that system, and they're not that hellish expensive. You can always add it onto a car as an optional extra.
I'm going to throw in another option here for as well, is the i20.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think there's a nice car. She'll have all the stuff she wants in it, and it'll be a fun drive.
Yeah, but
The i20 will be a fun drive.
It's
you're
just gonna
talking
be a bit
previous
older.
generation.
I'm talking previous generation, I'm not talking new.
But I just think, first-time buyer, always try to get as close to new as possible.
Yeah.
Let it be an easy, soft landing. If you go look at that Toyota Agya, I think that car is magnificent.
Yeah.
Comes with mag wheels, standard, beautiful front. The Toyota styling at the moment is really doing it for me.
Yeah.
And it's a Toyota badge.
Sure, it's a great. I mean, it's a great little car, and it is a great option. So that's a great one to have a look for.
Can I throw a fourth car into the mix?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the Atos?
Honda Atos is
Yes.
also is a great option. The Atos, they didn't have it for a couple of years, and they brought it back. So the older ones are really older and really basic and
yeah.
stuff like that.
And then it
So
won't have the
It won't have all
tech that you
the
want.
It won't have-
teeth
it won't
and
have
all
the
that
tech
So you
shit.
guys are
Yeah.
relying on me to settle this debate.
Yes.
Okay.
Toyota Agya.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
it's one of those
Marissa.
options. Go and have a look at it and see if you're happy with
At
it.
last, Mike got something right. Our next question from Pumi, who wrote to us on behalf of his father, Julius, age 55. He's looking for a spacious, reliable, and affordable family sedan. He can spend up to 150,000 Rand cash or 3,000 Rand per month, and he'd like to get into something relatively low mileage, as he plans to keep the car for more than 5 years. He's interested in either a 2017 Toyota Corolla Quest 1.6 or a 2014 Hyundai Elantra. He has no particular brand preference, but ideally the car shouldn't be too much of a theft risk. So suppose that takes out the Toyota Corolla Quest
yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
The one car I would have recommended to him.
So the Corolla Quest is an incredibly safe option as a car, but exactly what you're saying, it has become that ultra popular Uber Bolt vehicle. Honda Ballard is my recommendation there. I wouldn't look at the Elantra. It's a little bit too old, and I think you can do better value for money than that. What do you think of the Ballard?
Look, I think the Ballard's a great option, but I like the Elantra. The Elantras are very good, just as reliable as a Corolla. I have a couple of companies that have them as fleet vehicles, and I've seen some of them over the 500,000 kilometers. So they can last, and they can last a long time. They have a very low theft risk. So if he's worried about the theft risk, obviously, we'd all say go buy a Toyota, but there is that risk because even the thieves like them.
But what for you stand out on that Elantra? I know we're going to get your opinion, but what is stand out on the Elantra?
Not much.
I think it looks beautiful. Don't you think it
It
looks
looks
good?
okay in terms
It
of looks.
really looks good. It
But
looks
none of
a
these-
cut above.
None of these cars in there are like, wow, gotta have one of those. But also that Ballard you threw in is a great option for some.
Well, I also looked at Honda and I got the Brio Amaze sedan
Yeah.
as an option for
I'm
you.
amazed I didn't choose that. Right.
So yeah, I looked at there's a 2016 model with like 10,000 Ks. You can already find within 170,000.
Yeah.
So
Isn't that a little smaller though than the
it
Elantra?
is a
and the-
little bit smaller.
So your Ballard, as Mike recommended, is a great option as well because it's a little
nice
bit bigger than the
in-between.
Amaze. It has a bigger engine, a 1.5 as opposed to a 1.2. It's, for me, just an overall a better car. The Amaze is okay. I mean, you could also throw in there the Suzuki Desire, which is also the same
Yeah.
sort of thing. But it's, like Segi says, it's a little bit smaller. So
I would put him in a Ciaz as well if I could find one.
well, that's another great option as well.
a
the
Suzuki Ciaz, yeah.
But all
As
of
a
these
sedan.
cars that we talk about now, these are low risk options. You just don't hear anything negative about them.
Except the Toyota Corolla, unfortunately.
No, sure. No, the alternative options that we're
Yeah.
giving them.
Yeah,
And,
so
and they're also reliable models.
yeah, they're all
Yes.
good,
All
reliable,
good, reliable
great
vehicles,
backup,
yeah.
nice to drive. So it's one of those things. We've given a couple of recommendations. That go and drive them and see which one suits your application best. Which one's got the right size boot? Can you fit in the back? Have you got space? Are you comfortable? Some are lower than others, and some of the seats are. I don't like the seat. This is not as comfortable as the other car. So you'll find something that suits you. Okay, we're going to be taking a short break, but when we return. What do you do when you've been involved in an accident but you don't have insurance?
And is VW's Tiptronic transmission more reliable than its DSG cousin? Welcome back to Buyer's Guide. Vishalan owns a 2012 Honda Civic sedan that has recently been involved in a collision with a tow truck. The quotes he has received from panel beaters amount to about 150,000 Rand, but the problem is he doesn't have insurance, and apparently neither does the owner of the towing company. He reckons the car was worth about 70,000 Rand before the accident, so he wants to know if he should just cut his losses and break the car up for parts. Mike, get rid of it, sell it to a scrapyard. What should he do?
So let's start with a challenge first. It makes me very sad that as a country, Vishal and I assure you is not unique. He himself doesn't have insurance. It should be law in this country that you have insurance. Regarding his question in particular, do I go to a lawyer? What do I do with the car? Write it off. Whatever you get for it is a bonus. Don't try to get involved in trying to get your money from a tow truck company.
And the tow truck guys don't have insurance either. That's ridiculous.
How is that possible?
Yeah.
So, well, I suppose we don't know who's at fault, but anyway, the cars are write-off. You know, it's a 70 grand car with 150,000 rands worth of parts. It's a no-brainer, isn't it, Fazana? Just scrap it.
Well, no, for me, well, it also depends. Maybe he's not in the position to afford a new car. Maybe there's sentimental value attached to his car. So he can save. He can save it, right? So under South African law, there's something called the vicarious liability, where the owners are responsible for their employees under the during their term of employment. And it was if it was during work hours, he was in a company vehicle as well, he can hold the owner responsible. The other thing is he can take up a lawyer if he's willing to spend. So he said his damages or his repairs are looking at about 150,000 Rand. If he's willing to spend like between 30 and 50,000 Rand for an attorney, but because all attorneys have different charges, he can then take it up where they will go through the procedure of filing an accident report. They'll do a damages affidavit, and they'll go through the process of a summons for a civil claim. They'll
He
serve
didn't tell
the
us
owner.
how bad. He just said it's 150 grand worth of damage.
Yeah.
Now 150 grand at one panel beating shop could mean 15 grand at another
At a
panel
different
beating
one.
shop.
But either way, it sounds like it's a
not
bad
worth the
situation.
trouble
No.
repairing, yeah.
Also, he didn't say whose fault it was. I mean, maybe it was him. Maybe he drove up the backside of a tow truck. You don't know. But whatever it is, the question is, should he keep the car, fix it? I wouldn't fix it, because even if you got somebody to do it for half the price,
It was a head-on collision, Adam.
now we're talking
Somewhat.
75,000 Rand. It's not worth it.
Can't be.
Sell the car for parts or get rid of it. And
And
next
spending
time,
50k on an attorney, he can spend the 50k to fix the car up.
next time get insurance. You know,
Yeah.
now you think, gee, I should have spent that. Should have spent that $500 a month on insurance. Yeah.
But I promise you, we are giving the gentleman genuinely good advice.
Yeah.
I do not believe everything that you said is 100% true. The problem is the law is against the people who are right. It's so slow. It's so cumbersome. This could drag out for 2-3 years.
Oh, at least, yeah.
Absolutely. Take what you can get for it as scrap or to a scrapyard and move on and finance a new car, whatever your financial position allows, but get shot of that car.
Okay, I'm going to end things with an interesting question from Denzel. Now, he owns a 2013 VW Polo Vivo with 110,000 kilometers on it. And usually, the car is equipped with a Tiptronic gearbox. And he would like to know if these are just as bad as the DSG units that we are always warning people against. Going forward, is there anything that he needs to worry about in terms of maintenance? Now, I know we've gone on a bit about DSG gearboxes and how unreliable they are and how expensive they are to fix. But the Tiptronic gearbox is actually quite a good, reliable gearbox. And the only thing really one can do in terms of maintenance of that is a
Do an oil
Oil
change.
change.
Yeah.
And what I'd recommend, I know the manufacturers don't, they say sealed for life or that kind of stuff, but I find that if you do the gearbox oil change on an automatic car every 60,000 kilometers, which is most probably the average driver, that's like every,
Correct.
3 to 4 years, you're changing the gearbox oil at a cost of maybe in the region of like 1.5 to 2,500 Rand, depending on what the oil it takes in it. It will certainly extend the life of that gearbox, and you can quite comfortably get 200,000 kilometers plus trouble-free. So that's more than the life of the, you're going to most probably keep the car for. So that's the only thing you really need to do.
And look, it's not that it'll never give you a problem.
Yeah.
The Tiptronic gearboxes have solenoids in the valve bodies which sometimes fail, but it will never be as expensive a repair as the DSG gearbox.
So
He's got low mileage, 9-year-old car. I don't think that's a concern. But I think what's an interesting point, the term Tiptronic has almost become generic for every single gearbox that's got a paddle shift.
Yeah.
You can be driving a Range Rover and you change the gears here and they say, you've got a Tiptronic box.
Yeah.
Tiptronic is a VW Porsche product. Am I correct?
I'm actually not too sure, because we saw it come out with the VW Audis, I think it was Tiptronic, and it's just sort of become terminology.
It's like a carrier bag. Have you got a Checkers bag? Doesn't matter who,
Ah.
doesn't matter who gives it doesn't matter who gives it to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
But I don't think you've got any concerns yourself.
No, the only thing I picked up from my research was mechatronics.
So that's
Yes,
on the
I know.
DSG. Yeah.
Oh.
I
That's
didn't
on
do
the
my
DSG.
research. I've picked up a new word today. What's it
Mechatronics
called?
is basically the
Mechatronics.
electronic brain that works the DSG gearbox, and that is inherently unreliable. The electronics fail in there, and it stops the car changing gears. Look, in terms of all automatic gearboxes, you do get some which fail. You know, they're going to manufacture 1 million gearboxes. You're going to get, you know, there's going to be a percentage of failure. 1% failures is a couple of thousand. So rather, you know, just give it a good maintenance. That's the only thing you can do. Don't drive it like a lunatic. They're not designed to be driven like nutcases.
So they shouldn't put those paddle shifters on the steering.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I get into a car with one of those,
Yeah.
it's balls to the wall for me.
It's not none of this rev it in neutral until the rev limiter, then dump it into gear.
You
and
need
go.
to get you a more comfortable armrest. Take one hand off.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're good. They're reliable.
Yeah, okay. And with that, we've come to the end of this week's show. Thank you, Michael and Fazana, for joining us, and as usual, for all the useful advice and tips. Until next time, please buckle up and keep it safe on the roads.